It is our joy today, as by tradition, each year at this time, we hold in our regular worship a service that is led primarily by our youth, and especially a time to give thanks for our seniors who will be graduating and going forth. And we, as is our tradition, have a few words from some of our seniors. Lizzie.
In the reading today, when Jesus is questioned by the Jews, he says they do not believe because they are not his followers, his sheep. First of all, I do not think of myself as a sheep. I've always thought of myself as a leader, the mom of the group, one who does not sit still and just be. Even my coworkers and boss think I am like a mom. I hold that crown very proudly. I don't want to be a sheep because I don't want to be ordinary. I don't want to be just like everyone else. I want to be special. But maybe we're thinking about sheep in the wrong way. When I think of sheep, I imagine a cute little lamb, but not necessarily a smart animal. After doing some research, I discovered that sheep are actually considered quite intelligent animals. In studies, they have been shown to have an IQ slightly lower than a pig, who are actually quite smart, okay? And because they're prey animals, they have to be smarter to survive. So being a sheep doesn't mean that I'm not special. I can work to follow Jesus' words and teachings. It seems scary to just be a follower and not a leader, the head of the pack. But it's okay to be a sheep. Being a sheep doesn't mean that we are less than others. We are all equal. We are just following the same path to love and forgiveness. Being a sheep is okay. Being a leader is okay. And being a follower is okay too. We're all God's people. I can't forget to thank everyone at Trinity for the community that has helped me grow in my faith. From the moment we stepped into Trinity in 2014, I felt so welcomed and loved. I cannot thank Beth and Debbie enough for the nurturing environment they have created. They have helped me grow and become an outgoing and confident woman that I am today. I can't wait for the next 4 years at Swanee, where my faith can grow, and so can I. And happy Mother's Day, Mama.
Good morning. Happy Mother's Day. At 5 years old, I came to Trinity as a result of my family finally becoming too fed up with the Catholic Church. Immediately, I was welcomed into Miss Chestnut's Sunday school classes, where I passively absorbed religion through painted gold boxes, felt calendars with burning hot Pentecostal squares, and lots of craft supplies. I sat crisscrossed on the basement carpets and became unknowingly grounded in the lessons essential to my Episcopal faith. Loving my neighbor as myself, knowing that the people around me are what make the church and not the building, and that God is a force of love and union, not of hatred and divisiveness. Then, of course, I progressed to fake sleepovers and snow tubing and service trips with Miss Debbie, where she reinforced these lessons of love for others constantly through fun and friendship. Religion was a part of my life at this time, though, because it had to be. It was a part of my parents' life, because I talked about God without really talking about religion, and I sang fun songs in the Redwood Chapel and got to put on silly costumes in order to act out biblical stories. As I got older, I began to act light, and I was perpetually anxious to do so. Every time I moved to a role past back torch, I moved back to the horror stories of spilled wax, clattering offer plates, and burned hair. Slowly, though, I gained more confidence because being an acolyte made me fall in love with the routine of a Trinity church service. And while I'm still sometimes left guessing what to do, even now, as a head acolyte, the responsibility allowed me to play an active role within the service that has helped me to find my own connection to worship. Religion was becoming an active act for me. As I began to think more and more about where my relationship with God fell into my life, I went to and fell in love with Camp Henry, as any good Trinitarian does. The summers there allowed me to reinforce the core ideas that I had learned in Sunday school, as well as teach me more about what prayer and God and love and fear and trust all looked like within the context of life outside of church. In middle school, I wanted to validate my newfound activism in my religious life and get confirmed. During this time, Trinity no longer had a sponsor system for the confirmation process, but I still asked Ernestine Tootin to be my unofficial sponsor. Because of this, I created some of the most concrete ideas about what religion meant over Scrabble games on her front porch. Ernestine proved to me that religion, like most things in her life, is about consistency, a commitment, and active effort. My actual confirmation course then reinforced these ideas further, as David Henson explained to me that if baptism is all about a parent's act of committing you to religion, confirmation is deciding it for yourself. As a young adult who has crafted religion into my own life in a way that serves me, I have created an active relationship with faith that is my own. I have worked to find my own way of becoming a sheep that can hear the voice of Jesus, one that listens through the perspective of love and acceptance that Trinity has instilled in me.
All right, can y'all hear me? All right. Honestly, after years of sitting in those pews and listening every Sunday to my dad preach, which in my opinion, he does an amazing job, but you can have your own. I know these sermons can get a bit long, so I'll try not to put y'all to sleep. As many of you can imagine, not going to church was never an option for me. Growing up, there was never a question like, "Hey Samuel, would you like to go to church this morning?" Or, "Hey Samuel, I think we're just going to relax Sunday morning. Not going to go to church." Never happened. No matter how hard me or my brother pushed for it. Most Sunday mornings consisted of Mama yelling at us to wake up, making us breakfast, making sure we were dressed properly, and then racing to church to get there on time. But one thing was for certain, no matter what, we would make it to church. I guess this is the normal life as the son of a priest, or as many people call me, a PK, a preacher's kid. And just to clarify, no, I do not have any desire to become a priest one day. Just want to make that clear. I get that question a lot. However, as I sat down to write this sermon, the one thing that I immediately reflected on was how this experience has affected my faith. Every week, I would attend Sunday school and then go sit in church with my mom until eventually I was old enough to acolyte. Now, I know you might be surprised to hear this from me, but sometimes church isn't the most interesting and honestly can get a bit boring. And for most of my life, I didn't really pay attention. I had this idea ingrained in me that, oh, well, it's okay to show up every Sunday, God sees me. I'm on his good side. I don't need to do anything else. Or the casual jokes from my friends, don't worry, if you screw up, Pop's got you covered. He'll just talk to God, give him a ring on the phone for you real quick, and you'll be all good again. Everyone experiences God in different ways, but the problem wasn't that I didn't feel close to God in church. I also wasn't seeing God in my life either. So I found that the older I got, this mindset drew me further away from God and made me realize that in all honesty, my relationship spiritually was weak and flawed. Well, now you might be wondering, what was it for me that flipped the switch, that turned around my spiritual life? Yet I've tried many times to pinpoint this exact moment where it hit me, but I've just never been able to until the other night. I was scrolling through my memories on Snapchat and passed by the date July 2019. I started seeing pictures and videos from when we went to Cuba on a mission trip, and I saw a picture with me and this young boy named Adrian. Immediately it hit me. Throughout this trip, we went to Havana, the beach, painted a church, and so much more. However, at the end of this trip, the most impactful thing that happened to me was meeting this boy named Adrian. This little boy showed up every day. We would play for hours, whether it was soccer, basketball, dominoes, anything. The whole time, he had the biggest smile on his face. We couldn't even talk to each other because of the language barrier, but that didn't matter. He was always filled with joy and excitement when he saw us. Throughout the trip, me and Adrian became especially close, and on the night before we were going to leave, we sat on the roof of the church and talked for hours over Google Translate. I would type something on my phone, give it to him, and then he would do the same. That's when it hit me. We're in a third world country that speaks a different language, and yet I'm here having one of the most impactful conversations of my life with a boy I just met a few days ago. I mean, wow, is God powerful. In the gospel today, Jesus says, "My sheep hear my voice, I know them, and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they will never perish." Adrian is one of those sheep, while I was one of those people questioning if Jesus was really the Messiah. See, God put Adrian in my life to teach me, to show me how to live my life in order to become a sheep, because Jesus is always there looking over your shoulder, checking in on you, even when you struggle to believe. Adrian became like a little brother to me throughout the trip, and leaving was truly one of the hardest things I've ever done. I don't know if I ever see him again or even talk to him, but I'm blessed to know that God knew I needed him in my life at the time. The memories that we created are ones that I will cherish for a lifetime. I will always remember what he did for me in my journey with my faith. The biggest misconception I faced in my spiritual life is that just because the big guy back there is my dad, that for some reason I have it all figured out. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth. Even to this day, I'm still trying to figure out how to be a sheep like Adrian. Yet experiences like these make me know that God is watching over me and that he hasn't given up on me in my journey with him. One day, I hope to become half the sheep that Adrian is, but until then, I will do my best to trust and listen to God as he guides me on this journey. However, none of this would be possible without an amazing place that we're all sitting in here today. Trinity has been a huge part of my life outside of church. From the moment me and my family arrived, we've been welcomed with open arms, and I can't thank everyone enough for that, as you truly don't understand what that meant not only to me, but my father and my family. Trinity has given me the opportunity to go on mission trips, volunteer at countless shelters and food pantries, and allowed me to serve as y'all's senior acolyte. To me, there's nothing more satisfying in church than to swing around a bunch of incense as my job and see the joy that it brings to everyone in the congregation, because I sure do love to whip that thurible all around my head and do all those tricks. Yet it's the impact that I see it has on our community that is why I truly love serving. Trinity has given me relationships that I would cherish for the rest of my life. I met my best friends, Sanford and Luke Gardner. I've spent countless hours playing pool with Glenn or helping him around the church, which really consisted of us talking about sports, shoes, lifting, while he did the work and then would tell my dad how much I helped. Then there's my church mama, Debbie. I know that from the beginning of my time at Trinity, I could be a real pain in the butt, but yet you always stuck with me and have made an impact on my life you will truly never understand. Thank you. Now, there are countless other people who have impacted not only me, but everyone at Trinity. From the other acolytes, altar and flower guilds, ushers, the choir, and many more. Yet the most important part about Trinity is its sheep, all of you. Without your steadfast support through these tough times, Trinity could not be what it is today or have the impact on my life and spiritual journey it has. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of you, all the Trinitarians that have made this place so special. You are all example of God's sheep.